जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So I was pretty busy today, so I have not yet decided basically what I will speak. Means I was in busy till this moment. Anyhow, so today I was discussing with one devotee. The devotee was, someone said to the devotee that first discipline is required and then faith is required. But Krishna says, Adau Shraddha. First there should be faith. Only when you have faith, you will follow the instructions. Then comes discipline. Discipline is when there are some instructions and you have to follow some instructions, some process which is set down by an authority. So for that, either the authority should be positioned for you or you have to accept them as an authority. There is both ways. And that is where this Prabhuji's seniority issue comes in. So, the Prabhuji's question was, how can we understand regarding the Brajvasis? Like Brajvasis, the current Brajvasis' behavior is may not appear to be like Brajvasis, or actually may not be also like Brajvasis. So, what to do in such a situation? So Krishna also says, Yad yad acharati shrestha tattadete taro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. The way a person who is positioned in a highly placed person, you can say a highly placed person, in whatever way he is senior, a highly placed person, the way he behaves, yad yad acharati shrestha tattadete taro jana, other people will follow that. They will think this is the way to live, this is the way of life. Sayat pramanam kuruto, they will consider it as an set down example. Sayat pramanam kurute, pramana. Lokastad anuvartate, and they will follow. They will follow that. So anyone who is senior, he has a responsibility that he will be having many followers. He may not be knowing, but there may be many people who are observing him and they think, because they think he is senior, they try to do whatever he does or whatever he says. They try to follow his instructions. That's where the advertisement world comes in. The topmost movie star is coming and telling you, Yehi hai right choice, baby, aha, Pepsi. And many of the people think he is great, he is Shrestha. Yad yad acharati Shrestha. If he's saying Pepsi is the right choice, that means Pepsi is the right choice. Some movie star is coming and telling, oh, the secret of this beauty of my skin is Lux soap. Many women consider her to be Shrestha. Yad yad acharati Shrestha. So whoever considers them Shrestha, they follow. They will immediately bring Lux soap and rub their skin with Lux soap, thinking that their skin also will be like the skin of their Shrestha. But actually, the Shrestha is not using that soap. The Shrestha is just advertising that soap because the company is filling the Shrestha's pocket with notes, with money. The Shrestha never even looks at that soap. But this is how the people are fooled, because they are considering some fool a Shrestha. So whomever you consider Shrestha, you are going to follow whatever he says. You are going to imitate his lifestyle, considering it that that's the ideal. Or if you cannot imitate, at least you will follow. So what happens is, all these movie stars and all these famous people, the sports stars, the politicians, they are having affairs. So you think affairs is a way of life. It's a lifestyle. This is how we should also live. Great people of the society are living like this. But the problem is, we are illusioned about who is great. The great person which we think as a great person is not really a great person. And that's the problem, where we make mistakes, because whatever he does, we try to do, and that is the problem, because he's not great. That is Maya. You think Maya means, and basically Kali Yuga, where Maya is very strong. When you think the most rascal person as the most great, that is what you, that what is not. So the most rascal person is considered to be most great in Kali Yuga. And the most intelligent person in absolute, who knows the absolute truth, he is somewhere staying like a madman. And people may think of him also a madman. The children, if you read that this King Rahugan or Jad Bharat, the children would throw stones on them. They would tease him like madman or Shikulan. If you come to Braj, I'll take you to a village called Karela. There is one Madhav Prabhu. And if he walks through the village, all the children, as soon as he comes out of the temple, the children around them, they will start teasing him. Hey, Chikku, hey, this, hey, like that, like that. All the children think he is a madman. This I can show you anytime. Every time you go and you take him out of the temple for a walk in the village, you are surrounded by children teasing him, and he's not bothered, and he's talking with you some philosophy about Radharani and this and that. But children are troubling him, they're teasing him. This, like Jad Bharat, King Rahugan, he had this. So in case of Jad Bharat and King Rahugan, Jad Bharat appeared to be like a beggar and a fool. And King Rahugan, and he said to King Rahugan, he gave so much knowledge to King Rahugan. So basically, when the seniority issue comes in, there is seniority of 5 different types mentioned in the scriptures, which is to be considered while dealing in the society. Not necessarily in spiritual matters, but we are saying, you are staying in a society and you have to deal with many people in the society who may be on different levels according to different factors of seniority. So the simplest seniority factor is age. The first one in the scriptures which says that is the simplest seniority factor, the age. I am 20-year-old, someone is 30-year-old, someone is 40-year-old, someone is 50-year-old, someone is 60, someone is 70, someone is 85-year-old. So the 85-year-old is senior to the 71, and he's senior to the 61, and 51, and 40, and 30, and 20, and 15, and 10, like that. By age, that is age seniority. You should respect the seniority of age. You see a person who is older than you, offer him respect. Just respect, you can, actually Prabhupada said respect everyone. Everyone, even an ant, even a dog, respect. Respect means give them their due respect according to their position. Respect everyone doesn't mean you go to the forest and offer dandavat pranams in front of the lion. You will not get up again. So respecting lion is stay away from the forest. Let him be in the forest. Don't trouble him. That is respecting him. Respecting lion means don't go in front of him. That is his respect. Because if you go in front of him, that is disrespect for him. And then he will show you what his position is if you disrespect him. So one has to respect everyone according to their position. Respect doesn't mean associate or be friendly or go close to him. Respect. We respect the lion because he's the king of the forest. He's most strong. That is his area. You have to respect. But in case of human beings, there are like 5 criteria of seniority, as I said. The first one, simplest one I told you, is age. And we all know, we do that. In our family, this and that, everyone, the elder brother and elder sister is just 2 or 3 years elder to you. But he's respectable just because of that. Just because he's older by 2 years or 3 years, he's respectable. He's your elder brother, you know, elder sister. So when the age factor comes, they are boss. Same things in society. Someone is elder to you, so he's senior. So age factor. First is age factor. The second factor is birth. Scriptures mention. Birth, you know, like there are different castes, and you may be born in different caste. You may be born to a Brahmin, a Shudra, a doctor, or currently all those Indians, you know, big problem going on in Maharashtra. There one good leader called Balasaheb Thackeray. But just because Uddhav Thackeray was born and is his son, he just got so much respect because of default. Although he may not be qualified for it, or he didn't struggle to, you know, command that respect. And then the third generation, Aditya Thackeray, just because he was born to Uddhav Thackeray, grandson of Balasaheb Thackeray, on the basis of that, he has so much respect. You know, of course, his actions are not respectable. That is another issue. But what I mean to say is, by birth, if you are born in some great family or great caste or great rich, whatever, so you get respect according to your birth by default. Just because Abhishek Bachchan is son of Amitabh Bachchan, the superstar, and his daughter, some, what I don't know, Adhya or Aradhya or whatever. When she was born and she was crawling and she was eating and she was like walking, it was news. First glimpses of Aradhya walking, newspaper. First glimpses, whatever. After Aradhya crawling, first time some reporter hears her sneezing, Aradhya is sneezing. There are millions of people in the world who are sneezing millions of times every moment. What is special in Aradhya is sneezing, or Aradhya is walking, or Aradhya is dancing, or Aradhya is this? Just because of the birth. Just because she's granddaughter of the superstar of the millennium of India. Otherwise, what value she has? A 1.5-year-old child, a 6 months old child. She doesn't even know that I am granddaughter of Amitabh Bachchan and who is Amitabh Bachchan. She doesn't even understand that. It makes no sense to her. But the world is crazy. So, according to the scriptural injunctions, basically all these great people, this, that, but then there is this, Brahman, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya. So, basically, one has to be respectable according to the birth. So, the Brahmins are supposed to be the most respectable in the society because of their acts, basically, guna karma. But if a Brahmin is not performing acts and he doesn't have the qualities of a Brahmin, he is not a Brahmin, basically. He is something else, what guna karma he has. So Brahmin is supposed to be the most respectable person in the society, a real Brahmin, basically what I mean, not a Brahmin by birth. But still by birth people respect. Then Kshatriya comes the next because he is the one who takes instructions from the Brahmin and governs the society. That is what the Kshatriya is supposed to do. Kshatriya is supposed to govern as per the instructions of the Brahmin, because Brahmin is a sensible person. Nowadays, anyone is becoming Kshatriya, anyone is becoming a governor or a ruler, even Shudra, this and that. And they don't want to take instructions from Brahmins. They don't have a Brahmin ministerial council or something like that. And you see the chaos all over the world. Because a Brahmin is detached, he is aloof. He doesn't think of a benefit or loss on a personal basis when taking any decision. He can think of the society in a better way so that all the society is covered. So he can take proper decisions. He can understand what is correct, what is not, what is right. So person should be detached. Yes, he sometimes there will be mistakes. Naturally, it's not perfect, but at least the perspective of the or the vision has the maximum purity and no corruption in that. If it is a Brahmin, it should be like that. Now, if the Brahmin is corrupt, that is another matter. So, according to birth, one has to offer respect. Now, Vaishnav or a Brahmin family birth, naturally respectable. Maybe later on your actions doesn't match your birth, that's a different thing. So similarly, getting birth in dham in the form of an even animal or an insect is greater than getting a human birth in any place in the world. Bharat Bhumite Janma Hoile Jar. You can understand the spiritual way. Anyone who is born in India is fortunate. Since childhood, you hear these words Ram, Krishna, Sita, Saraswati, Ganesh, Hanuman, Ayodhya, Mathura, Vrindavan, Dwarkapuri, Govardhan, Gokul. Any child knows this in India. Not only Hindu, even Muslim and Christians born in India know this. They know about this. They have heard about this. Maybe they are not scholars in all this. But everyone knows Krishna. Muslim, Christian, whoever is in India knows Krishna. He knows Ram. He knows Ayodhya. He knows Mathura. He knows Dwarka. Maybe he has not visited, but he has heard once. He knows, okay, yes, Krishna is Hindus, this, that. Then, because India is still, there is still a lot of Vedic culture and everything, Vedic lifestyle still in India. I can assure you the best food available is in India. All of you, most of you are outside India who are here. most of you are in the Gulf countries, like, and you, many of you might have visited in other places of the world, like Europe and UK and France and Germany and America and Russia and Japan and China and whatever. And I don't think you get to eat so fantastic items, like vegetarian items anywhere in the world, like dal, rice, so many varieties in dal, urad dal, tur dal, chana dal, moong ki dal, and then so many different types of dal, just dal tadka and what not. So many different dal, sambar, whatever. Then there are so many different types of spices and sabjis and rotis and parathas and puran polis and idli sambar and dosas and masala dosa and paneer dosa and kaju something, paneer dosa, dhokla, and this, you cannot end. It's like unending. Like Namonanta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam. Like Krishna's Leelas are unending, non-ending. Similarly, the items of prasadam are unending in India. And they are all so delicious. Not that just they are, and then they are so nutritious. Shankar Pale and Karanji, Gujia, Shrikhand, pakodas, so many different items. In the West, no one knows pakodas. Papads and pickles, so many different types of papads and laddus and pickles, chutneys, sauces, moravla, muramba, metkut, goda masala, so many. Pav bhaji masala, and then pani puri, tikki. Where in the world do you find pani puri and aloo tikki? Lassi, even lassi. People don't know lassi anywhere in the world. So simple. A 5-year boy or a girl can cook, means can make lassi in India. When I came new to Vrindavan, there was one Mataji from Brazil who had visited Vrindavan. I was divorced, unmarried, divorced and single like this. So the status was unmarried. And she said, Mahapurush, you come with me to Brazil, we will marry. I said, what will I do in Brazil? Anyhow, I didn't want to go, but I was. And actually what happened is, we were drinking lassi in Govinda's. And she said, oh, what is this? It is so wonderful, this, that. The conversation started after this. Basically, this is the initial conversation. I said, what is this? This is simple. This is just take dahi, put some sugar, and it's lassi. She said, you can do lassi? I said, yes, what I can do? Anyone in India can make lassi. Hey, come on, you come to Brazil with me, we'll marry. And I said, what I will do? Oh, I have money. I will put a nice restaurant for you. And you can sell lassi. And you can make money. You will be millionaires just by selling lassi. In Brazil, people will be just topple on this. So anyhow, I was not at all affected by that. So I'm telling you, means this is what happens. Now, you will not believe me, for the last 1 week or 10 days, we are cooking here karanjis, ola naralacha karanja, like fresh grated coconut karanjis. You can say sweet samosas. Then we're cooking puran poli. Then today I delivered shrikhand to many of the foreigner devotees here who are staying here. We made shrikhand. Lockdown, I have no work, so I decided, okay, let me and my daughter and my family members, let us make some things. And due to devotees, because they are so surprised, they don't understand what are these things, how you can make these things. But for the last so many years I am in Vrindavan, I rarely met someone who said to me, please, can you teach me this? Never. Rarely. Maybe once in 12 years, 10 years. Everyone wants to eat that. Everyone is amazed. Everyone enjoys that. They just love it like anything. They said, we cannot stop eating this. We cannot stop eating gujia, karanji. They ask for 5. They just eat 5, 6, 7, 8 at a time because they've never eaten such things. But as I said, it is very rare that someone has said to me that, can you teach me this, how to do this? That is my pain. I don't want to make money by selling this to these people. I want them to say to me, my ears are hungry to hear from someone to say that, can you teach me this? But no one. Like Prabhupada. Now I understand how Prabhupada felt when he was preaching in the Bowery, in the New York, in the initial 1 year. Prabhupada was doing everything. He was buying the stuff, vegetables, he was cooking, and he was giving the lecture, he was serving prasadam. Everyone just left like that. He was collecting the used plates and he was washing them and throwing them and everything. Prabhupada is doing this. Hippies are coming and they are just eating and leaving aside the leftover food stuff, the leftover plates, and cleaning and mopping and everything Prabhupada was doing for the first 11 months. Can you believe this? Which devotee in ISKCON has done such things for 11 months? Without a single helper. We don't know Prabhupada's greatness. That's why we think Amitabh Bachchan is great. He may be great. He also came from not so rich family. He was sleeping on the footpath in Bombay or railway stations in Bombay, and then he somehow became a movie star. Okay, that's fine. That is another kind of greatness. Prabhupada's greatness is compassion for others. Prabhupada's greatness is for benefit of you and me, to get us free from this material world. His greatness is putting everyone into, entangling more and more into the material world, everyone. That is his greatness. The greatness he achieved after so much struggle is that he's entangling more and more souls into the material world, into the deep dark well of material world. That is the greatness of all other people. So that is Prabhupada's greatness. And when someone, one day, someone, felt, says, Prabhupada, how can I help you? And Prabhupada said, that was, I was dying to hear that. Prabhupada said, I was waiting. And Prabhupada said, yes, now the day has come that I have to establish an institute now. Now I am not alone. Now there is someone else. That is the day when Prabhupada decided that I will start ISKCON. It took like 11 months for someone to understand that I have been coming here and eating and enjoying without any repayment. Prabhupada is cooking gulab jamuns, the sabjis, and everyone was like, oh wow, it's such a great Swami, is giving us gulab jamuns, he's giving sabjis and rotis and pulkas fluffed up. Like, how can you cook that? How can you cook this bread? This type of bread? How? That's when someone said to Prabhupada the first time, how can I help you? That is when Prabhupada decided, I will establish ISKCON. Because he knew alone he cannot establish and do anything. But he didn't say to someone, will you help me? Will you help me? No, he didn't want help like that. He wanted someone to help with love and spontaneously on their own. That is what Krishna wants. That is what his devotional service is. Otherwise, Krishna can hold you by the neck and take you down and roll chapatis and this and that, and he can make you serve. It is easy for Krishna just to grab you by the neck or collar and pull you and drag you into some service. Krishna doesn't want that. He wants that you should come and say, okay, what can I do for you? How can I serve you? How can I serve Krishna? From your heart, when you come and approach, how can I serve you to someone? That is important. Not that, oh, someone is like, boss, do this and do this, you go do this, you go do this. Of course, in spiritual world also there is a leader and this and that, and you have to follow the orders. But there is a desire to serve from the heart. As I said, so many of you are in different organizations doing some job, this and that. But I don't think you have a desire from heart to do what you are doing. You know? Like, oh, morning 8 o'clock, I have to go and I have to serve my boss, and this is okay after that one. And just because this, you have to maintain yourself. There is no other option. So you have to do this to get something in return, which can get exchange and sustain your life. You can exchange this money with some life sustenance things. I don't think any one of you is like spontaneous in your job or something like that. You just have to do it, whatever your duties are, and okay, there is no other option. What this Mahapurush is telling us, he is in a good situation there in Vrindavan. People are coming, giving him some donations for taking them around. He will never understand what we are going through. I know. I was also doing all these things. I was also in this kind of situation long back. So don't think that I am not aware of what's happening there, or what a person goes through in. So this is because we are discussing seniority. We came from the seniority of birth. The first one was age, simple. Second one was birth. So from birth we came into this seniority of designation. This is designation, like designation means the higher authority in a system, like your boss, a supervisor, and there are some people below you. So by designation you are senior to them. By post, or in a spiritual setup, person who is less, who is younger than you, can be temple president. So by designation he is senior. Maybe by age he is not senior. Maybe by birth also, his birth may not be from a higher position of your birth, but in case of designation he is at a higher position than you currently. He is a temple president. You are currently just a congregation member. So designation wise, maybe some congregation member may be pure than him also on a spiritual level, but designation level there is a seniority. A seniority concept is also there on a designation level. So similarly, someone can be senior to you who is younger, who is from a lower birth according to the scriptures, who is even less educated than you, because one of the seniority aspects is education or knowledge. Education basically means knowledge. Education doesn't mean a degree, a specific degree. I am engineer. Many engineers may not know about engineering. Like I have seen advertisements, like intelligent engineer required, which means all engineers are not intelligent. So what to do? Anyhow, so basically one of the seniority, as I said, is on the age. The second one we discussed is about birth. The third one was designation. Designation means and the fourth one is knowledge. So how much knowledge who has. And last one is spiritual realization, the spiritual level of the person. Seniority depends on that. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he was a topmost Vaishnava, Mahajan, since his birth. Where is the age concept? And birth was in demoniac family. Where is the age concept? Where is the birth concept? Where is designation? He had no designation. He was a 5-year-old child. But he had knowledge. Knowledge-wise, he was great. Spiritual realizations, he was great. Just because of his words, Narsingadev appeared from a pillar when he was just like 5-7 years, 6-7 years. So spiritual potencies or spiritual status is great. Dhruva Maharaj, he had a good birth in a king royal family. His age was 5 years when he went to the forest. He had no designation. He had no knowledge basically. Prahlad had at least some knowledge, but Dhruva Maharaj had no knowledge. He just asked his mother. His mother said, the only one who can help you is God. No, where is God? Where can I find God? Oh, all these Rishi Munis, saintly people, they go to the forest in search of God. So maybe God is there. You can go. That was his knowledge. His only knowledge was that God is in forest, and that he got from his mother. So he had basically knowledge, no level, designation, nothing, age, 5 years, birth, okay, he had a high birth, he was a prince. So he went, but spiritual realizations at that time was nothing, zero. So he went to the forest in the search of God. He didn't even know how to pray, just a 5-year-old child. He doesn't know anything, just he knows, as my mother told me, God is in the forest. Just that. What a kind of determination, what a kind of dedication this child has. Did you ever think of this? Someone tells you, okay, God is on Himalayas. You start walking, just turn your back towards your house and turn your back towards your, not house, palace, kingdom. Turn your back towards a kingdom and a palace which you can enjoy like anything all your life. And you start walking, not caring for what you are wearing and what is happening and isn't that, and you go to the, you just God. He was not concerned about anything. Just I have to meet God. I need to meet. Yes, he wanted to meet God to fulfill some of his material desires. That's okay. But you see his gravity by the way he wanted to go to God. Reason is material desire. Okay, he wanted to be like, whatever, because he was disrespected, kicked out, or whatever, thrown down from the lap of his father, what, insulted. So, and then because of his sincere, I mean, a strong, sincere, pure desire to meet God for whatever reason, for a material desire to be fulfilled. He performed austerities. He was ready to go through any circumstances to meet God. He was so intense in his desire to meet God, he stopped eating, drinking, anything. And finally, when God appeared in front of him, Krishna, Narayan, he appeared in front of him, Vishnu. And Dhruva Maharaj was amazed, enchanted by the beauty. And he couldn't say anything. He didn't know anything. He was not a scholar. He had not studied any scriptures. He didn't know what to say to him. How to glorify the Supreme Lord. He didn't know. He didn't know anything about this. He didn't know anything about the Supreme Lord. He just came, I need to meet him. That's all. So Narayan just touched his conch shell on Dhruva's head. And Dhruva became a Pandit, a scholar, and he started glorifying the Supreme Lord. He got all this knowledge just by a spark. This is how you get knowledge. You get knowledge by Krishna's mercy, not by reading books. Reading books, you get information. If you understand this information, that will help you in transformation. That is called application of knowledge, if you understand that. Transformation doesn't really mean realization. Transformation means you read an information, one should not consume meat, you stop eating meat, that is transformation. That is not realization. That is just transformation because of an information. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. This is information. So you decide to surrender to Krishna, leaving aside all kind of different dharmas. That is transformation. You decide to do that. Doesn't mean you did it. or you are perfect in that. You decide and you start trying to do that. That is transformation. Realization is something different. So Dhruva Maharaj just immediately got everything just by the touch of Narayan's conch shell, Shankha. Started glorifying, and finally he understood Krishna immediately in a moment. He understood everything in a moment. For what someone takes millions of years, bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. It takes millions and millions and millions of birth to understand the greatness of Vasudev Krishna. Such a person is very rare. Dhruva Maharaj got it just by the touch of Shankha in a moment. And finally he said, "Oh my Lord, Krishna, he was saying, what do you want? For what reason you wanted to meet me?" Dhruva Maharaj had tears in his eyes. He said, "Oh my Supreme Lord, oh my dearmost Lord, I was looking for broken pieces of glasses. That's what I have understood now. But when I got a diamond like you, now I understand that I was looking for some broken pieces of glass. What is the use of a broken piece of glass? There are sometimes you will see on the road, small pieces of broken glass, car smashes, then the light glass breaks or something like that. It is useless, it is harmful. Not only useless, it is harmful. Dhruva Maharaj is saying, now I am feeling that the reason for what I was trying to beat you, is like broken pieces of glass. It has no value. It is useless. Not only it is useless, it is harmful. I don't want anything. Just your darshan is enough now. That's my life is successful. Do we have this intentions? Do we have this mood? Are we ready to struggle and strive for this? Even 1% of Dhruva Maharaj. And we are thinking, oh, I'm chanting 16 rounds for 25, 30 years. I have distributed 10,000 Gitas and I've been preaching and I have like a congregation. I'm preaching to 80 people every week, this, that. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita every day, this and that. This is good. This is good. All this is very good. I'm not saying this all is useless. This is very good. This is required. But then we should also think about this also, that do we have even 1% qualities of Dhruva Maharaj? Do we have even 1% qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, the way he used to smaranam Krishna? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. The way Prahlad Maharaj used to do smaran. Are we even doing 1% of that? Amrish Maharaj was completely surrendered to Krishna, not bothered what Durvasa is doing. He didn't even know that Durvasa had created a demon and asked that and sent the demon to kill him. He didn't even know about it until the time the demon went and Sudarshan was killed the demon, and then Sudarshan went behind Durvasa, and Durvasa went around all the three worlds, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu finally. And here and Vishnu said, "See, you have offended a devotee. You have to beg forgiveness from the devotee. I cannot spare you." So he came down again running. He was in front of Amrish. He was standing in front of Amrish. The solution was there itself. But he went running down all over the universe to all the three worlds, and finally Vishnu told him, "You have to go and beg forgiveness from Amrish." So, such a foolish thing this is. And then he begs, when he came back and he touched Amrish's feet to beg forgiveness from Amrish, that is when Amrish opened his eyes. Till that time, he didn't know what was happening there. When he saw Durvasa is angry, he just went, he was remembering Krishna, nothing else. If the demon came to kill him, which the Amrish created, but because Krishna made a protective kavach around him, the demon cannot do anything. And Sudarshan came and killed him. And Sudarshan started running behind, means following Durvasa, because he was the creator of the demon. And then Durvasa ran around everywhere. He came back here. And when he fell at Amrish's feet, Amrish opened his eyes. He saw Durvasa falling at his feet. He was so surprised. He picked up Durvasa and he said, "What are you doing? I should fall down at your feet. You are such a great personality. This is not proper. I should fall down at your feet." And then Durvasa, then he saw Sudarshan behind Durvasa, and he understood there is something. This is how Amrish, Amrish just with the wave of his hand, he just did like this. And Sudarshan went. Do you understand the power of a pure devotee? Narayan is telling Durvasa that I cannot stop Sudarshan, because if you offend a Vaishnav, my Sudarshan doesn't listen to me. The Sudarshan will only listen to the Vaishnav whom you offended. If that Vaishnav forgives you, or if that Vaishnav instructs Sudarshan, I cannot stop now. If you offend Krishna, if you offend Krishna, that can be negated by chanting Harinam. Haristhane aparadhe tare Harinam. Tomasthane aparadhe nahi paritran. Vaishnava, is it Vaishnava bhajan? He's saying, "Oh Krishna, Haristhane aparadhe tare Harinam." If I offend Krishna, it can be negated by chanting Harinam. Krishna will forgive. But Thomas Thane, oh hey Vaishnava Thakur Dayar Sagar, ei bar karuna karo. Oh Vaishnava Thakur, if I offend you, there is no other solution. No solution to that. Thomas Thane aparade nahi paritran. The only solution is you have to beg forgiveness from the Vaishnava whom you have offended. You have to serve him. You have to please him again. When he is pleased with you, naturally that offense will be negated. That is what Jagai Madai were instructed to do by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After they became Jagdanand and they were purified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go and beg forgiveness from everyone whom you offended. Serve them. They said, we don't even remember whom we offended and whom we were so drunk, this and that. Who knows? Who remember? Who knows? We don't know. We don't remember everyone. Maybe some of them, we can find some of them, but many of them, we don't know we offended or. So there is Jagai Madai Ghat in Mayapur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, you just stay in this ghat. That ghat is known because of Jagai Madai Ghat. Jagai Madai, you stay here now. And anyone who will come to the ghat, you have to offer him dandavats, you have to serve him in any way, you take care of his clothes or whatever, and because he's coming to take bath or for whatever work. Anyone who comes, because you don't know whom you offended, you just do this for the rest of the life. And in this way, your all sins and everything and offenses will be forgiven. When all the devotees will be pleased by what you are doing, where you are serving them in such a way, in a humble manner, take care of their shoes, take care of their umbrella, if they are taking bath, take care of the clothes, whatever, any service, just perform on this Jagai Madai Ghat, you stay here, people are coming here every day from the villages nearby, serve them. So this is the seniority aspect. As I said, seniority is by age, seniority is by birth, seniority is by designation. This is the scriptural description of seniority. Then the seniority is by knowledge, and then the seniority is by spiritual level. So when we associate, means when we take guidance or instructions, that is from someone who is at a very good spiritual level. When we want to have some information on knowledge, you can consult someone who has knowledge about some particular thing. Maybe he is not realized, but he has knowledge. You can accept knowledge from him, not advice. Designation, age, and birth doesn't qualify for association necessarily. Just because someone has a higher birth doesn't mean we can associate with him, or someone is elder to me, or someone has a better designation than me. So basically only in two cases: knowledge, only for knowledge purpose, and spiritual realizations for advice, guidance, special matters in to progress in spiritual life, all this way. So Brajvasis, they have a higher birth. They are born in Dham, specifically in Braj, the topmost Dham. So they have performed some pious activities because of which they got a birth in Dham, and that also a human form. So yes, they are some great souls. Hare Krishna. But if their behavior, if their knowledge, if their spiritual realization level is not good at all, or then you just have to stay away and respect their birth. Hare Krishna. So not intermingle with them on a deep level. Respect everyone. Stay away from everyone who is unfavorable for devotional progress. Take association and guidance from spiritually realized persons. Take information and knowledge from someone who has knowledge. Maybe he's not self-realized, but he has some knowledge. But it can be risky, because if you are infatuated, if you are enchanted by the knowledge the person has, and he is not spiritually realized, he doesn't have good level of spiritual realization, and you are enchanted by his knowledge, you can flow down and he can make a mess of you. So knowledge is not that important, it is secondary. Primary is spiritual realization. Spiritual realization can bring you knowledge, but knowledge may not necessarily bring you spiritual realizations. But spiritual realization will bring you knowledge at any cost. But the opposite doesn't work. Spiritual realizations come only through chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a proper way. Chanting is very important. Second is prasadam. Prasadam should be, I have like 3 sessions of prasadam we discussed. Chanting we have to discuss yet. We have not yet discussed chanting, I think, very nicely or properly. And the third is service. Service to Vaishnavas. Service to someone if you have offended him. That is very particular and special, to negate the offense. Basically, service to everyone according to their social position. Service can be offering service to seniors, giving mercy to juniors, distributing some books to general mass, service. So realizations are through service. There may be some exceptional cases. Dhruva Maharaj didn't do any kind of service. We don't see that he did any kind of service, but he performed a lot of austerities and all these things. Finally, Krishna appeared, and just by his touch of the Shankar, he got all realizations and all knowledge. So, but that worked for Dhruva Maharaj. That may work for us if we exactly follow the path of Dhruva Maharaj, which is almost impossible. That is once in a millennium case, Dhruva Maharaj. There is not a Dhruva Maharaj every day. Once in a millennium case. Once in a millennium case, Dhruva Maharaj. Once in a millennium case, Prahlad Maharaj. There is no Prahlad Maharaj every day. Every day some father is trying to kill the son and is chanting. Once in a millennium. Once in a millennium cases are exceptional cases. So they don't fit into the normal rules and regulations and the frame of how things work. They are out of those frames because they have special mercy from Krishna, and they have special qualifications also. Not that they are just special qualifications. Similarly, Prabhupada is a special person, Shakti Avesh Avatar. So this is the seniority aspects: age, birth, designation, knowledge, and spiritual level. So I hope the seniority issue has been pretty much cleared on my behalf, and I will stop here. If anyone still has any questions about this seniority matter, or in general any question, any spiritual question, you can